Live from New York. It's the show that still believes. You know what we're doing. That's not supposed to be a take.
Big show.
That's not supposed to be a take.
I think I know what you're going to say, Wildes. I want to hear it with your chest. Some bass.
It's a show that still believes in you. Is that
Who? What's the question, Wildes?
Has Brock Purdy lost his magic? But Fred Warner just said what you've been saying. He's a fan of the show, I guess. So
has Brock Purdy lost his magic?
Yeah, his mojo.
Well, magic is make-believe, just like Brock Purdy's MVP candidacy. So yeah, I suppose.
The MVP
I suppose so. So listen, for folks that are new to the show, over the last few weeks, this has been kind of the beats of it. The Niners will win on the back of their actual great players and their tactician of a coach. And then Kevin Wildes will come on here and either compare Brock Purdy to the dad of an NBA player or the greatest pound-for-pound boxer ever. I'm not sure. Sometimes he was LeVar Ball. Sometimes he was Floyd Mayweather. And it would be like, what more do you want him to do?
And he won every game.
And then Chris Broussard would say, listen, guys, I'm not saying he's elite. But right now, he's the MVP of the National Football League as of 2 weeks ago. And now, both of them will quietly and tepidly at some point during this segment admit, not only is he not the MVP of the league, not only is he not the MVP of the team, he is actually the opposite of the most valuable player on the team. He is their weakest link. He is their biggest question mark. And we saw it. And Kevin Wildes, you kept asking me what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you I wanted to see?
Wow plays.
No, that was not.
You wanted your eyeballs to fall out of their sockets.
I wanted to see that, and then what was this? Yes, I also said I wanted to see him face adversity, and then Brew would be like, once upon a time he ran out of gas, and I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about.
What are we doing?
I am talking about trailing in a football game.
All right.
And so now we have a bit of a sample. How does Brock Purdy look? We can show you the numbers.
Let's see.
When he's leading or when he's trailing. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's really good. And that's pretty bad. And then we had an opportunity for a little more specific. The very exact thing I said I wanted to see. Trailing, late, with the ball, chance to win.
We had it last
How
week.
does he do? That 18.4 number is his fourth quarter passer rating the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, the last 2
sample
weeks.
size.
The only, and that 0 minutes trailing in the first column is, how long he was trailing in the fourth quarter, first 5 weeks, and then these last 2 weeks. And so there's a bit of this, Brew. You would understand this because you have grown kids the way I do. Wildes doesn't yet. You think you've raised your kids right. You hope you've raised them right. Mm-hmm. But you don't really know till the first time they're teenagers and you leave them alone for the weekend. And Brock Purdy didn't have a small get-together. Brock Purdy threw such a rager, the cops were called and the house partially burned down. So he's not trustworthy.
Okay.
It is exactly what I told you would happen.
Okay.
No, he has not lost his magic. In fact, I love the position Brock Purdy is in now.
God. We got both ends of the
I'm going to drop
here.
some knowledge, all right? You've heard all the hate, but let me keep it real. All right, this stretch of games he's against is going to determine whether it's going to make or break him as a franchise quarterback. Yeah. And I think it will make him Nick Wright. Wow. All right, when I was a young boy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And I'd face a loss, a failure, some challenge, some obstacles in my path.
Yeah.
My father had a saying that he'd always tell me. He'd say, boy, this is going to put hair on your chest. All right. And as a member of the Iowa Mafia, I am saying to Brock Purdy, this stretch of games is going to put some hair on your chest, so to speak.
Well.
All right? Because, quite frankly, it's been too easy for Brock. It's been too easy. What? All right? You win your first 10 games. They throw you in the MVP conversation rightly through week 5. You're compared to Joe Montana.
Yeah, is his floor still down?
All right? You're compared to Joe Montana. All right? You win 2 playoff games, not 1, 2. It was too easy. But the road to the Super Bowl, Brock, is not easy. You can't go into the playoffs, all right, having faced no adversity. And I'm not talking about a simple in-game adversity. I'm talking about gut check, look in the mirror, what am I made of?
Yeah.
Adversity. I'm talking about looking in the mirror and saying, is Nick right? And all the rest of the doubters and the haters,
like that.
are they right? Is that who I am? Or am I the man, the quarterback that convinced Kyle Shanahan and convinced the San Francisco 49ers locker rooms, veterans and all, that I can lead this team? Brock Purdy?
Hey.
I believe in you.
Wow.
I believe in you.
Bud list. All right, so hold on. I just want to ask you a quick question because I do appreciate not only you invoking your wonderful father, but also that passionate, I don't even want to say defense, but support. Do you think he's going to take that fork in the road or the other fork in the road?
Well, I think he's going. I don't think he's. I've never said he's going to be an elite, great quarterback, but I do think he takes the road that leads this team that plays well. I don't think he goes the other way and it's like, my goodness.
So you think the next time he's in this situation, he won't just throw back-to-back picks right to the other team?
Well, hold on. Let's not kill him. He's not the first quarterback to throw 2 interceptions in a game. In fact, you know what this is like? Now, he's not on this level, but Patrick Mahomes faced this. 2020.
No, that's
7 straight games he threw interceptions.
Yes.
3 of them he did what Purdy did yesterday and threw 2 interceptions in each game. And he had to look. And yes, he was better. He is better, and he had already won the Super Bowl. But still, there was a feeling. We talked about it on the show. Has the league figured him out?
Yeah, but that's
not. Look at they got this coverage
these
now.
Are not
that's
the same.
Figured him out. And now, well, they got tape on Purdy. So now teams are looking at him and they have tape.
Right.
And I don't think this is going to be a negative fork in the road. I think it's going to be a positive one. Again, not saying he's going to be an all-pro, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback for these Niners like he has been.
Okay, go ahead, Wildes. Sorry.
No, I think that was solid. I mean, between the two of you guys, I feel like I would lean towards Brew. He had his guys missing. He had Debo missing.
Trent Williams?
Williams is missing.
Yes! Exactly.
No.
You cannot punish him, Nick, for having great teammates.
You said the same thing.
Why are we punishing him
You
for
said
that?
the same thing week 1. Without Travis Kelce.
What did I say?
And without Frank Clark,
they couldn't even beat Detroit.
And you were like, he didn't have his guys. That's the excuse you gave.
Hold on.
For
That
week
is
1.
not. I gave no excuses
That's
for
not
week
true.
1.
You said that's why they lost. He didn't have his 2 guys.
I said they lost that game because the receivers couldn't catch passes. That's what I said. I thought Patrick Mahomes played really well in that game. And again, you guys do this weird thing where you're like, I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, yet the only comparisons I will use are Patrick Mahomes
players,
ones.
Quarterbacks, so we can talk about them together.
Yes. But the question I had from the beginning, when we were saying, having the discussion, is he the most valuable player in the league, was how can he be if he's not the most valuable player on his team?
Was Tua ever in the MVP race? I mean, seriously.
The question I would ask is this. Yeah. If Brock Purdy were out yesterday and Sam Darnold were in, would Deebo Samuel all of a sudden look terrible? Of course not.
He didn't look terrible. He looked terrible in the last 5 minutes.
Yes.
He didn't look terrible throughout the game. He actually was playing well.
He was playing fine.
He was playing fine. He was playing solid. It wasn't a great game.
No, I agree. There wasn't a lot of yikes. I did the wow yikes thing. There weren't a lot of yikes until the end. But at some point...
I get the MVP. He's not the best player on their team. We all know that, okay? We've never said that. That doesn't mean... If the MVP is, unfortunately, a quarterback award,
then
like
he can't
Tua, can Tua get it? Because he ain't the best player on their team.
No, and that would work against him, but at least, I
don't know if it would work against him.
I think, in my opinion, it should. But there has to be an element of everybody's ability to now take a deep breath and say, hold on. We have the growing sample of evidence of what this team looks like, no matter who the quarterback is, when they have all of the Avengers together. Mm-hmm. And then when that quarterback goes and plays for a team with only one Avenger, the Las Vegas Raiders, he leads the league in picks. And then when a couple of the Avengers are out, that same guy with that same play caller with Christian McCaffrey, who made the biggest play of the game for them offensively, all of a sudden, you get outplayed by P.J. Walker. You score 17 points on the Vikings defense. Those things.
All of that is because of Debo being out? Because they won 3 games. Brock Purdy won 3 games last year without Debo.
It's because they have a very, very limited quarterback.
What about the defense getting shellacked? I guess we'll talk about that
Who we saw yesterday, the quarterback, even on the plays, forget the picks, the play you and I were talking about before the show, when he rolled out to his left, when they were down 8 in the fourth quarter, and he couldn't get it it was Juwan Johnson over the middle, and he one-hopped it to him. And Wildes, you said to me before the show, what do you want him to do? The ball's slipping out of his hands. And I said, yes. One of my critiques of him is his physical limitations. He doesn't have a strong arm. He doesn't have big hands. We were all shocked when he escaped the pocket and scrambled in the first half, which was a great play. Like, this is who he is, and it's who he's been, and we are now finally being able to see it.
It's 2 games.
It's okay.
And again, he wasn't horrible yesterday until the end. He was bad at the end.
Okay, yeah. How was the play other than that, Mrs. Lincoln? Yes, agreed. But it was pretty bad at the end.
He's 10-2. All right, but anyway.
Let's take a look at the odds to win the NFC. San Francisco still in the driver's seat. Then the Eagles, then the Cowboys, then the Lions, to the Cowboys fans' delight, and then the Seahawks. So, Brew, after back-to-back losses, do the 49ers deserve to be the NFC favorites?
I mean, look, everybody knows my pick is Philadelphia to get to the Super Bowl, actually, and win it. Mm-hmm. If you don't overreact to 2 games, you can have San Francisco number 1. I think it should be Philly. And I think, to me, Nick, and you might agree with this, the most alarming thing last night, it's probably an aberration, but still, was their defense. I mean, Purdy obviously wasn't great at the end, especially. But that defense got passed over, actually, by Kirk Cousins. They had no sacks. They put very little pressure on him. They couldn't get him off the field on third down.
They did pressure him. He just navigated it beautifully.
Well, there was one where I definitely thought he was sacked late in the game. Yeah,
so did Troy Aikman. That was a great play by Cousins. But
Cousins was fantastic. I mean, it's the best game I've ever seen Kirk Cousins play. Mm-hmm. But the defense, now again, it's probably an aberration. But they weren't as physical as usual. They weren't dominating the line of scrimmage. And they really didn't get a run game going. McCaffrey only averaged 3 yards a game. But the defense was the big issue. And so Philadelphia, I don't think has a weakness. I think Jalen is going to keep passing it better and better. I think their run game is strong. They got receivers. They stopped the run. And defensively, they just added Kevin Byard, which is going to help the pass defense. So I would put Philly number 1. But I'm not going to shout over this because I'm not going to overreact to 2 weeks.
I still have San Francisco at number 1. The thing that I'm worried about is next weekend, it's the Bengals coming off a bye. And Joe Burrow off a bye is just rolling. Last year, he won every game, didn't lose to the Arrowhead Invitational. So
we can show their upcoming schedule. I know I was mocked and ridiculed in person and on the internet when I said I'm not ready to just hand them this division, let alone this conference. Well, all of a sudden, Seattle has the same number of losses. They have Joe Burrow, then they go to play the Prince, then they play Baker. Wow, tough quarterback.
Are you right? Not trying to bang on the Prince, but you think after a bye, you don't think they're going to go into Jacksonville and win? I'm saying after a bye. I know you love the Prince.
I don't know. I mean, the only team that's gone into Jacksonville and won is the Chiefs. And the Jags have lost, had one bad game in a year. But we can all see. The Jags, do they have a bye right before there as well? I'm not sure. I'm not certain. And then they obviously have a very tough stretch. But so listen, the Niners should not be the NFC favorites. Vegas right now should have the Eagles the NFC favorites. And Hubs, maybe give us an extra 2 minutes here. If they want to be NFC favorites, I know what they can do. It's pretty simple. And I'm not sure who says no to it. They call up Minnesota and say, we'll give you Brock Purdy for the quarterback Kyle Shanahan really wants in Kirk Cousins.
He's better than Brock Purdy. I mean, I don't think anybody...
So that would make them better. The Vikings know we have no, contingency plan at quarterback, and Cousins is likely leaving.
And he will probably
take a flyer.
Take his no trade calls off to go to San Francisco.
Absolutely right. Take a flyer on Brock Purdy because he's under team control for the next couple of years. He would have at least one Avenger in Justin Jefferson at some point. And if he's the guy that some people think he can be, it's at least a cheap, low-cost thing for a player you're losing for nothing. I say this as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, someone that got a tattoo saying they're going to win the Super Bowl and go undefeated. If the Niners got a legitimate quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is not an all-pro, but last night he was, but if they did that, they would be the overwhelming favorites, in my opinion. Cap-wise, they can make it work for a year and then decide it's the quarterback Shanahan has always wanted.
Look, I think clearly they like Purdy. But Kyle Shanahan and everybody knows Kirk Cousins is not Mahomes or on that level, but he's better than Brock Purdy.
And if you're Minnesota, Brew, would you consider it? If you think you're going to lose Cousins for nothing this offseason, you don't really have like an heir apparent?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess we're going to talk about their
playoff
Super Bowl hopes.
But
they could make the playoffs.
They can do it.
But they can't win this. They can't get to the Super Bowl.
Why not?
Because they're not good enough.
Because who would be in their way? The 49ers? Meanwhile, here's the Vikings' upcoming schedule that is filled with winnable games. At Green Bay, at Atlanta, home against New Orleans, which is when Justin Jefferson is eligible to be back. At Denver, home against the Bears.
Yeah.
They do not play a team with a winning record until Christmas Eve against the Lions.
Yeah.
A lot of smart people have this team going all the way to the Super Bowl. Brew?
One.
Are you willing to admit, you're a facts guy, right?
Yes.
Are you willing to admit the Vikings Super Bowl chances are alive?
No.
Are you willing to admit their playoff chances are alive?
Of getting to the Super Bowl.
Their playoff
hopes are alive.
Okay, then they're Super Bowl
They're the
chances
A
are alive.
seed right now.
Yeah.
They're the A seed right now in
And
the
once
NFC.
you get in the dance.
No. They can't be. I mean, look, I know they just beat San Francisco.
Who can't they beat?
San Francisco in the playoffs.
You can't say they can't beat San Francisco. We just beat San Francisco.
They can't beat San Francisco.
San
Francisco, Philadelphia. I like Detroit better. I like Dallas better.
Can I ask a question? Who's better, Justin Jefferson or Deebo Samuel? Justin. Yeah, okay. He was missing. And Kirk cooked. Like now, Kirk was great. Listen, Vikings season still alive? Yes.
Well, that's what we mean.
Super Bowl.
No, of course not. But it was never. But that was like that. They were never a Super Bowl contender with respect to Wildes. They weren't. But their season is still alive. And Kirk doing what he did without Justin Jefferson. Now Jordan Addison, who by the way, I have texts. Remember when I was inundated?
Jordan Addison right here that I had a full screen ready for?
He was excellent. He's been one of the three best rookie wide receivers. Zay Flowers, him, and Puka, obviously. Mm-hmm. Also, when I was texting Chiefs GM Brett Veach all my mock drafts, two of them had them taking him, but he didn't fall to him. I liked it. Well, no, he's excellent. But I thought Kirk was
and that
sensational.
Could have went the other way.
And that was actually one of Kirk's worst throws.
Right.
But he it was cool because Ward stole the one early and then he stole it back. And they moved the ball the whole game. They punted once. I mean, they punted one time. I thought Kevin O'Connell was a little too conservative for my liking, but regardless, they're definitely still alive for the playoffs, Wildes. Here's the question I have. Do you think the Vikings are a good team?
I think you know what I've said.
No, tell me.
It's just the turnovers.
Okay, just turnovers. And you think they're a fine team?
Look, Wildes, here's the deal. We got 5 teams definitely making the playoffs in the NFC.
It's too early to say definitely.
No, Philly. Tell me if you disagree with this. Philly, Dallas, Detroit, somebody from the NFC South, and San Francisco.
Yeah,
they're definitely,
I would be shocked.
And then Seattle, maybe. Yeah. So that would be 6. Mm-hmm. The Vikings are going to battle somebody in that NFC South for that wild card spot.
That's what it is. The Chiefs wins looking better and better by the day, man. That's Jets are all of a sudden frisky. Vikings are back alive. Those wins are looking great.
Don't get too big-headed.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.